Hello, my name's Harper and I'm 57 years old. My family has been through a lot these past few weeks and I've kind of been the pillar of support for everyone, so I thought I'd share my story here so I have someone who'd listen to me. The story starts with my son, Archer. Archer is mine and my husband's only son. We struggled for years to have a child. Neither of us was infertile, but I just couldn't get pregnant. Then 1 year later I get pregnant and I gave birth to Archer. Archer was our light and joy. He was our miracle baby. There was nothing in the world that we didn't give him. Of course, we did so in moderation. We didn't want him growing up into a spoiled brat. Anyway, we worked really hard to provide for Archer's every need and want. While we couldn't travel abroad every year, we could afford to buy a family cabin in the woods. There had been a construction project happening in a particular clearing in the woods near a beautiful lake back when Archer was around 6 years old. The plots were going for a pretty reasonable price, and my husband and I had a pretty decent amount of savings, so we splurged and bought it. That cabin became our go-to vacation spot whenever we needed it. During the summer, it was a great place to cool down, and during the winter, the lake froze up really well so that we could go ice skating. Some of my fondest memories were spent in and around that cabin. After Archer left home for college, my husband and I began renting the cabin out during peak season, and it became our source of passive income. Archer met Lizzie, his ex-wife, when he was in college. When he introduced us to her, I just knew that she was perfect for him. They were so happy and they looked so healthy together that in my heart I just knew that they would get married. And they did right after they graduated from college. I was happy for them, but I did want them to focus on their careers, so they worked hard for the next few years and managed to live comfortable lives. And then came some even happier news. Lizzie was pregnant. Of course I was elated. I was so incredibly happy that I was going to be a grandmother. So you best believe that when my granddaughter Amber was born, I pampered her senseless. After giving birth to Amber, though, Lizzie suffered from pretty severe postpartum depression. Her medications were too strong to allow her to properly work, and as a result, she had to quit her job. But quitting her job allowed her to spend quality time with Amber, and that helped her out quite a bit. Of course, my husband and I helped both of them out as much as we could. Archer took on the responsibility of taking care of his family. Apparently, him and Lizzie decided to wait for Amber to become a teenager before Lizzie started working again. With the brunt of the family's financial stability placed on him, Archer barely had any spare time. Not to mention, he didn't have a lot of spare money at the end of the month either. So I was genuinely surprised when he stopped over one morning at our place to ask me for keys to our old family cabin. "Hey, sweetie, come in. Your dad's out right now, so if you want to see him, you'll have to wait for a bit." "Actually, I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'll just run it by you." "What are you talking about?" "Well, ever since Ruby, Lizzie and I haven't gone on a proper vacation." "Oh yeah? Tell me about it. I didn't get to go on proper vacations with your dad until you and your brother were in your teens." "Yeah, and even though I really want to go on a vacation for just the both of us, I also realize that Ruby hasn't gone on a proper vacation either." "I thought you went to Six Flags with her recently." "Yeah, well, we've been on day trips, but we've never really stayed at some place. And I wanted to ask you if our family cabin is free." "Of course it is. Do you want to use it?" "Yeah, if that won't be a problem." "Well, I'll need to make sure everything is still working properly. I don't want your first proper vacation to get ruined because the cabin doesn't have water or electricity." "Thanks, Mom. When do you think I could get the cabin?" "I'd say in around a week." "All right, that's perfect." "How long will you guys be staying there? I'm just asking out of curiosity." "I was thinking about 2 weeks." 2 weeks? Don't you think that's a bit much?" "I mean, when we have the cabin, we might as well make the best of it." "I agree, but there isn't much to do around there. While I understand you and Lizzie enjoy spending time there, I'm pretty sure Ruby would get very fidgety after a few days." I mean, this is the nicest way possible, but this is my family and I get to decide what we do. I just need you to give me a definitive answer on whether I have the cabin or not. Oh, wow. Yeah, you can have the cabin. Just swing by on the day you're going and collect the keys from your dad or me. All right, thanks, Mom. The cabin was a good 3-hour drive away from our place, so I made the trip the next day with my husband. We did a quick check of everything, and we even filled the pantry and fridge with snacks and drinks for the 3 of us. I found it sweet that Archer was actually taking the time to spend with his family. Although in hindsight, I should have been more firm in my questioning of his motives, especially considering how he got so snappy with me. A week later, Archer came and picked the keys up from me. I wished the 3 of them a happy vacation and let them know that they were free to call me whenever they needed help with anything. I didn't expect any calls, considering my husband and I made sure that they wouldn't need anything for the next month if they continued to stay there. But about 3 days after they went to the cabin, the house phone rang. It was Amber on the phone and she was crying. I managed to calm her down and asked her what had happened. Through sobs, she managed to tell me that Lizzie was not waking up, and she begged me to help them out. I asked her where Archer was, and she told me he was out. Apparently, he had been gone all morning, and Lizzie had been unconscious since he left. I tried my best to calm Amber down and assured her that I was on my way. I was trying my best not to panic either. Lizzie was the pinnacle of good health, so I hoped that it wasn't a bad thing. I drove to the cabin as fast as I could, and I only reached around evening. I knocked on the door and was surprised to be greeted by Archer. Archer was also surprised to see me standing there. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "Nana, you came." "You called her? Why?" "Ruby called me crying and told me that Lizzie wasn't waking up. I came to see what was up." She's fine. It's nothing to worry about." "Why is Lizzie passed out on the couch that way? Did she faint?" "Well, no. You know that Lizzie likes to sleep in weird positions." "No. The Lizzie I know would consider herself above ever sleeping on the couch. In fact, the last time you came over and saw your dad sleeping on the couch, she gave us a whole speech about why it was bad for us." "Yeah, Mommy never lets me sleep on the couch either." "So what happened to her?" "I honestly have no idea." "And you didn't think that something was wrong when you saw Lizzie like this?" "Not really, but now you're freaking me out." "Does this happen a lot?" "I don't know about that." "Yes, it happens a lot." "What do you mean, sweetie? It always happens when Daddy gives Mommy tea." "Archer, what is she talking about?" "She's just a child. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Anyway, I'll head into town and find a doctor." Archer left in a hurry after that. I just knew that something wasn't right. I positioned Lizzie properly on the couch and went to look around the cabin for something. I was sure that there was truth to what Amber had said. I looked through the bedrooms and the bathrooms, but I found nothing that was suspicious. Just as the frustration was beginning to settle in, Lizzie woke up. She clutched her head because it was hurting. So I asked her if there was anything I could do for her. She asked me for something warm to drink. I immediately went to the kitchen to heat some water for her when I found it. I gasped in shock, but Archer came back. I put what I found into my pocket and went into the living room to hand Lizzie her cup of water. After making sure Lizzie was doing better, I signaled to Archer to meet me in the kitchen. He followed me in while Lizzie and Amber went into the bedroom. "Archer, we need to talk." "Mom, what are you still doing here? I thought I told you that I had everything under control." "Yes, but I need answers now." "What do you want me to say, Mom? Are you still hung up on what Ruby said? I told you, she was just making things up." "I don't think she was making things up, Archer." "Oh, what? So you think that I'm actually drugging my wife?" "I don't think you're drugging your wife. I know you are." "Excuse me?" Before I could reply to Archer, Lizzie walked into the kitchen. Archer and I went silent, and Lizzie looked at us as if we were hiding secrets from her. What's going on here? Why do you both look so intense, and why are you whisper arguing? I really don't think you should be here. Archer has been drugging you. What? What do you mean? Do you remember what happens when Archer gives you tea? I don't. Wait, Archer? Have you been drugging my tea? Mom's just going off on something Ruby said. You know how imaginative she is. I've been trying to convince Mom that that isn't the case, but she's not willing to listen. I know that you've been doing it, Archer. And how do you know? I went to get some warm water for Lizzie after she woke up, and I happened to see a bottle of sleeping tablets hidden in the back of the mug cabinet. Okay, well, I struggle with sleeping, and I've been taking them before bed recently. Yeah? I didn't rule that possibility out until I saw when the prescription was refilled, and it showed me 2 days ago. And what does that prove? Well, over half the bottle is empty. These are some very, very strong pills. I see no reason for you to consume so much. I took a look at the cup that you served Lizzie, and it had half a tablet still undissolved in it. Archer, what the hell? Why are you drugging me? Okay, look, I had something to do, and I needed Lizzie to not be aware of anything. What could you have possibly wanted to do that required you to drug me? I needed to meet someone. Meet someone? Who? A friend who's living in the cabin over. The cabin is owned by the Cohens. Why would you want to meet them? Oh, no. What? What is it? You wanted to go there to meet their daughter. Are you cheating on Lizzie? What? Archer? Tell me this isn't true. It's true. Julia Cohen and I got in touch a few months ago, and we got to talking. We used to play a lot, and we did briefly see each other one summer. Well, our conversations got a lot more intimate. So you planned this getaway just to cheat on Lizzie? Do you realize that you put your wife's life in danger, and you threw away your family for some fling from your past? Yeah, and I'm sorry. Enough. Ruby, sweetie, we're going to Nana's. Get your stuff immediately. Lizzie, Mom, please don't leave. Save it, Archer. Lizzie grabbed Ruby's hand and led her to my car. The drive back home was silent except for Lizzie and my phones constantly buzzing because of Archer trying to contact us. By the time we reached home, it was pretty late into the night. Ruby had fallen asleep, and Lizzie was looking drowsy as well. I got both of them into the house, and once they were in bed properly, they were out cold. My husband was obviously concerned to see them there, and after explaining everything to him, he was just as disgusted with Archer as I was. We decided to support Lizzie in any way we could, even if that meant letting go of Archer. It was one of the most painful decisions we had to make as parents, but we knew it was the right one. The next day, while Ruby was happy to be spending time with her grandparents, Lizzie locked herself up in her room. She refused to come out and didn't touch a single meal we left for her. Thankfully, she unlocked her door around evening time, and I took it as an invitation to check in on her. Hey, sweetie, how are you feeling? I don't know anymore. I just feel numb. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I want you to know that my husband and I will always be here for you and Ruby. If you need our help in any way at all, we'll be here. Thanks a lot. I'm so sorry that you got involved in this. Shush. Never apologize for that. I'm only grateful that I was there to stop it before it got any worse. I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough for what you did for me. You don't have to. This is the least I could have done to make up for my son's crappy behavior and actions. No, you have nothing to apologize for either. It's Archer who's fully at fault. I mean, how screwed up do you have to be to drug your wife, especially when your daughter is right there, just so you can go sleep with another woman? If I would just pinpoint where my husband and I went wrong in raising him up, you wouldn't have had to go through this. No, Archer is a full-grown adult who's responsible for his own decisions. Clearly, you were good parents. If you weren't, you would have seen nothing wrong with what Archer was doing. You wouldn't have been here helping me out. You're absolutely right. It's a shame that Archer will just get away with what he did. Well, he doesn't have to. What are you talking about? I'm saying that I have a friend who's a lawyer that deals with cases like this. I want you to pursue this. Are you sure? I mean, this will mean that your son will become a criminal. Is he not already? As far as I'm concerned, he's no longer my son. Give him hell, Lizzie. He deserves nothing less. Do this for not only Ruby, but yourself too. Oh, I will. I promise. Good. I will get you in contact with my friend tomorrow. For today, why don't you come back outside? We were thinking of watching a movie with Ruby. That sounds delightful. I was glad that I was going to be of some help to Lizzie. She didn't deserve anything that happened to her, and I felt like it was my duty, not only as her mother-in-law, but as a woman, to help her out. I got in touch with a lawyer friend of mine who immediately advised me to take Lizzie to the hospital to get blood tests done for the drugs as proof. I already had the pill bottle with me that was filled out in Archer's name, but we followed my friend's advice. The blood results showed trace amounts of the drug still in Lizzie's system. Our lawyer then asked us to go to the police about it. Since we had all our evidence ready, it didn't take long for the police to make our case a full-fledged investigation. I was asked to give my statement about the events, and so were Lizzie and Ruby. Of course, Ruby was still reeling from everything, and since Lizzie had a lot on her plate already, I took care of Ruby as she outlined what she had witnessed. The police also managed to track down the woman that Archer was going to meet up with and took down her statement. Pretty soon Archer got involved as well, and he was sent a court summons where he would be tried for his crime. Archer did not take that well. As soon as he was served, he called Lizzie up. Lizzie picked up, but had the phone on speaker so I could hear the call as well. I also made sure the conversation was recorded. "You're taking me to court?" "I don't see why I shouldn't." "You didn't even get hurt." "Archer, if you don't even see why what you did was wrong, you deserve to go to jail." "How are you on her side? You're my mother." "Who do you think told her to pursue this in court? You are not my son." "How could you?" "No, how could you do something as disgusting as this? You put your family in danger by doing what you did." "Oh, come on. What would have actually happened that would have harmed them?" "What if you gave a lethal dose of tablets to Lizzie? Even if you didn't, you would have left Ruby unsupervised at home alone. What would you have done if she got hurt really bad? Lizzie wouldn't have been awake to help, and it would have taken me 3 hours to get there. But nothing happened. There's no need to make a big deal about this." "Your mother is absolutely right. It's pathetic that you can't even admit that what you did was seriously disturbing and wrong." "What is it that you want, huh?" "What are you talking about?" "If you want a divorce, I'll sign the papers without a fuss. You want full custody of Ruby? I'll give it to you. Just please don't take me to court for this one mistake of mine." "First of all, I was going to divorce you and get full custody whether or not you readily gave it to me. Secondly, I will be taking this to court no matter what you say or do." "You're ruining my life." "No, Archer, you're ruining it. The moment you decided to put your family in danger just so you could cheat on Lizzie. The only thing you should do is accept whatever happens to you from here on and educate yourself on why what you did was wrong. And from now on, please communicate to me through your lawyer. I feel unsafe just having you in my presence. Goodbye." I was proud of Lizzie for standing up for herself. The battle she was fighting was a tough one, but she needed to be able to stand up for herself to win. And she was doing it really well. Archer did not give up trying to contact her. He tried his best to get her to drop the case, but the investigation had progressed too far, and Lizzie was ready for Archer to face the punishment for his crime. The trial lasted a few weeks because Archer hired a very reputed and skilled lawyer. The lawyer fought from every angle he thought possible to deny the claims of Lizzie, but the evidence that existed against Archer was far too much to even think about him being not guilty. Lizzie's lawyer also fought tooth and nail for Archer to be found guilty. Those few weeks were truly some of the most trying weeks. I remember vividly how one time Lizzie's resolve just crumbled because she felt like she was taking it too far. But I reminded her that if she let him go and he married someone else or even just got into a relationship with another woman, he would probably do the same thing to them. That seemed to fire Lizzie back up. She was called to the stand several times during the trial, and instead of wavering, her answers only got more confident and firm. At the end of the trial, the jury ruled in Lizzie's favor, and Archer was found guilty of assault in the second degree and was charged with 5 years in prison. As a mother, that was the most devastating thing to hear, but as a woman, it was liberating. I felt a mix of so many emotions, but in the end, I knew that it was only justice that won, and I couldn't be happier about it. Archer wailed and collapsed as his sentence was read out. My heart went out for him, but I hoped that he'd use his time in prison to learn why what he did was wrong. I hoped that he'd walk out a better man. As for Lizzie and Ruby, they've been living with us for the moment. My husband helped Lizzie find a good job and also helped her sell the house that she and Archer used to live in. Since Archer is in prison, getting her divorce from him was not so hard. Ruby is learning to slowly adjust to the absence of her father, as are the rest of us trying to adjust to the loss of someone so dear to us. Life feels kind of hazy right now, but I know that in time things will get better. I don't think I or my husband will ever be willing to let Archer come back into our lives, but we do hope for a better life for him. Thank you so much for listening to our story.